Ένα, δύο. Ένα, δύο. Ένα, δύο. Ένα, ένα, ένα. Σου. Εντάξει, δουλεύει καλούτσικα. Κάτσε να δω αν μου το ξεκινήσει από εκεί που έγινε save επειδή το τσέκαρα.
Fracas made us from stone to protect Girdlegard.
Θα το τρέξει. Αν υπάρχει θέμα με ήχο ή κάτι γράφεται και καταλάβω τι γίνεται κι εγώ. Οκ. Ωραία, οπότε ξεκινάμε σε μισό λεπτό ακριβώς. Δουλεύει το κινητό μου. Oh boy. Οκ, και ξεκινάμε. Πες μου αν δουλεύει και τέτοιο και το... και η φωνή αν είναι καλά. Και μετά άραξε.
Are the guardians of Girdlegard. We are the children of the divine smith. We are the Dwarves.
Είναι καλό ήχος.
Understood. All right. On the way! Ha! Understood! Come here, you! Ha! Ah! On the way! Ha! Understood! Charge! Charge! Come here, you! That's that! And again! Charge! Understood! Charge! Come here, you! Charge! On the way! Understood! Come here, you! Understood! On the way! That's Randallin! A present from the workshop! I'd be happy to pass on this present to the... All right! On the way! And again! And
Άστε κομπλέ.
My king! What are you doing here?
Giselbert Ionai, the father of the Fifthling clan, has not been on the front line of battle against the creatures of Tion for many cycles. The king surveys the battlefield and the defenders with a grave expression.
We are too few.
This you know as well as he does. But there will be no reinforcements arriving. Hundreds of brave warriors lie inside the fortress dying. The illness is running rampant. It brings weakness and death.
Stay at your posts. Be as steadfast as the granite of which we are made. Nothing can break us. Vrakas is with us. What? Huh?
What compost, ξέρω εγώ.
What is it?
Ας με αυτό.
Yes? Yes?
Και αυτό τον κάνεις αυτό.
That's that? All right.
Δεξί. Πράμε.
Yes? For fracas! On my way! And again! Yes? What? Come here and die! What is it? Charge! All right! Understood! Huh? Yes? Yes? What? Huh? All right! Yes? Yes? Understood! On the way! Come here, you! What is it? Come here and die! Over there! It will be so! What? Another one gone! Over there! What is it? Another one gone! Charge! Huh? Yes? These are the ones who attacked us in the tunnels. We suffered great losses beating them back. Come here and I'll split you like a straw, you treacherous elf!
In his fury, the old king radiates a ferocious power that none of Sitalia's children could withstand. But the slight, willowy being sitting astride the Shadow Mare just grins down, mockingly.
You are mistaken. We are Alpha. We are here to destroy the elves.
All peace-loving beings here in Girdlegard are under our protection, and you cannot open the gate that has barred your path into Girdlegard since the creation of the world.
Not us, but perhaps one of your kind.
This cannot be. Silence, you fool! Vrakas, forgive me for what I am about to do. Quickly! In formation! You must hold them back until I close the gate! What is it?
The Dwarves λέγεται. RPGάκι φάση. Με ιστορία. Μιλάει και narrator πιο μετά και έτσι. Πιο μετά γίνεται πιο ενδιαφέρον. Τώρα ουσιαστικά σου δείχνει τα mechanics. Δεν ήθελα να το στριμάρω ακόμα, γιατί θέλω... Όχι, δεν το πήρα, γιατί θέλω πρώτα να δω τι θα κάνουν τέτοιο. Τι θα κάνουν τα άλλα streams. Δεν θέλω να το τρέξω χωρίς να ξέρω. Γιατί δεν ξέρω τι θα κάνει τέτοια Boxholics. Γιατί άμα το τρέξουν οι Boxholics, δεν ξέρω άμα βγει καλά μετά. Άμα έχει νόημα. Ναι, εννοείται. Ακριβώς το ανάποδο. Γιατί ο Νίκος, παράδειγμα, μπορεί άμα το έχουν unboxed δεν θα κάτσει να το δει από μένα, θα το δει από κάπου που έχει πολύ κόσμο προς το παρόν. Εγώ ακόμα ουσιαστικά είναι σχετικά beginner mode αυτό. Λόγω της εμπειρίας μου, λόγω του τρόπου που μιλάω, λόγω πολλά.
Get out of my sight, pointy ears, and let me delight at the closed gate a little longer.
Πάνε 16 ώρες παιχνίδι, έτσι. Για το τέτοιο λέμε, για το... Παίρνω ποσοστό για να μην τους κόψω τους viewers.
Never. My soul belongs to Vrakas.
No. Your soul now belongs to the land. And henceforth you will belong to it forever. Now die, and return. Then hand us Girdlegard.
Όχι, λογικά θα το πάρω. Αλλά πιθανώς σκεφτώ να το παίξω το Σάββατο. Να μην συνεχίσω, ξέρω εγώ, το Valiant Shirt και να παίξω μετά αυτό. Γιατί είναι πιο προγραμματισμένο το stream που έχω το Σάββατο. Το Plug Innocence λέω, by the way. Για αυτοί που δεν έχουν καταλάβει.
You're a perfectionist, Tungdil Bolafar.
I've got a reputation to uphold. If you can't rely on the metalwork of a dwarf, what can you rely on?
Για Darko το έχω σκεφτεί, η αλήθεια είναι. Είναι ωραίο. Είδα λίγο τον κακό χαμό, όχι, τον legit gaming που έπαιξε.
What can I do for you?
For me, nothing. It's Lot Yonan. He wants to see you in his study.
In your mind, you go through all the recent incidents that might have annoyed the Magus. Apart from a few little squabbles with his family, nothing worth mentioning happened since the incident with your beard. You nod.
Okay.
Δεν τερμάτισαν οι Boxholics. But better let them.
Better not keep the Magus waiting.
See you later. There's goulash for dinner.
Και εδώ ουσιαστικά είσαι εν μέρω πρωταγωνιστής.
Jolison, a fourth degree famulus and your favorite foe among the students of magic, gives you a disparaging glance and disappears without waiting for your reply.
Γιατί του άρεσε πολύ, θυμάμαι. Θα τα ξέχασα. Πού πάμε τώρα? Βγαίνουμε έξω, κάτσε να κάνουμε μια βολτούλα πρώτα. Γιατί έχει στοιχεία RPG, μαζεύεις δηλαδή υλικά.
You immediately recognize what the problem is. A chain running over a pulley for positioning the cauldron is detached from its mounting and the cauldron stuck in the fireplace. It's a heavy load and none of the famuli, who feel superior even during kitchen duty, dare do anything. They might burn their fingers or even get a bit dirty.
Καλησπέρα, όσοι είναι μέσα, θα κάτσω λογικά μέχρι κατά τις 12 υπολογίζω, ένα τριωράκι. Το προγραμματισμένο είναι συνήθως Σάββατο 9 η ώρα. Απλά κάνω και μεσοβδόματα μερικά
vegetables, bread,
πώς λέγονται,
cheese, but the cook is not to be trifled with. Many painful knuckles have taught you that she knows how to handle her heavy wooden spoon, and that she may possibly have eyes in the back of her head. The beer that is delivered to the vault is supposed to be the best beer in Idderslin. It's certainly your favorite beer, but you haven't drunk enough other beers to truly know.
Απλά όταν θέλω να παίξω ένα παιχνίδι το οποίο είναι έτσι...
Stay here. My cooking pot needs repairing.
It'd be a waste of goulash. And I'm hungry. Here, hold this.
With as much concern in your voice as you can muster, you say,
Oh, no, this doesn't look good.
You're pleased to notice he's dripping with sweat.
I'll get you back for this, groundling!
Remember when I dyed my beard with some magic spell? I had to shave it off.
You stroke your beard, which is unusually short for a dwarf.
Damn it! Ah, it's heavy!
The young human forces through his pursed lips, letting the pot sink a little.
Don't you dare ruin my goulash, boy!
The cook with beefy forearms glares at the young man, and after a brief moment, he tries harder.
You damned freak!
For a moment, you hope the famulus really does raise his hand to you. But then he comes to his senses and leaves the kitchen, his face bright red.
What a pair you are!
Ωραία, κάνουμε ένα μικρό run.
Hey, what are you doing? We're still eating here. Why don't you go and get your own portion?
Δεν μπορεί να κλέψει από άλλους.
The blacksmith. Do you want something?
Did a horse bolt while you were trying to shoe it? It's certainly not on our plates.
Ωραία. Τώρα μπορώ να πάω να πάρω φαΐ. Είναι έτοιμο ή να φύγουμε? Για πες μας, κοπελιά.
Do you know what Lord Yonan wants?
The maid gives you an amused look. She has often accused you of making things more complicated than necessary.
Έτσι θέλω να κόβω και εγώ πατάτας. Μία κίνηση. Γράπ, το παίρνω. Την ωραία τεχνολογία. Πάμε τώρα. Ας να δούμε τι έχει να πάρουμε από εδώ και φεύγουμε.
This is where you swung the forge hammer for the first time 30 cycles ago. No one taught you the craft. It was enough for you to watch Lot Yonan's old smith at work. Whenever the workshop was empty, you practiced and quickly mastered the craft with ease.
Μάλιστα.
There are apparently dwarves who
ουσιαστικά το παιχνίδι βασίζεται αυτό στο narrating. Ελέγχεις και έχεις κάποιον ο οποίος από πίσω σου λέει τι βλέπεις και τι γίνεται. Λες και παίζεις Dungeons & Dragons. Να φύγω ή έχω?
I should speak to Lord Yonan first. He doesn't like to be kept waiting.
Πάμε βρούμε που είναι αυτός. Μπορώ να κουνηθώ? Όχι, δεν μπορώ.
Of the 200 or so people selected to learn the art of magic under Lot Yonan, there's barely a handful of them you can stand the sight of. You're not at all interested in magic in all its elusiveness and whimsy. Your realm is the forge. Lot Yonan's vaults are equipped with laboratories, a library, and private rooms for the famuli. Together with the forge, the kitchen, and the other utility rooms, it makes up quite an impressive complex. But compared to the courts of the other Magi, the seat of power in Yonandar is small and modest.
Πολύ ενδιαφέρον. Μπορούμε να πάμε εδώ, ναι.
Master Lot Yonan, Frala told me you wished to speak with me.
Ah, Tungdil, come in. There is a bag over there in the cupboard. Take it out, please. It contains artifacts belonging to my former famulus Goren. I wish to return them to him. He's in Blacksaddle, 300 miles away.
300 miles? That's a long journey. Who are you going to entrust with this?
You.
Me?
There is no one better to take on this journey. You have acquired much knowledge. You are almost a scholar. You know more than most famuli about Girdlegard and its inhabitants. It is time for you to go out into the world and see it with your own eyes.
With pleasure. What's in the bag?
Magical devices. You better leave the bag closed if you want to avoid any accidents. Dwarves don't really like magic, and magic doesn't like you either.
Rakus gave us so much craftsmanship that there's no space left in our bodies for magic.
Strictly speaking, every time you've been too close to magic, it has ended in catastrophe.
Perhaps I'll meet some dwarves on my travels.
Yes, perhaps. But don't hold out too much hope. And be careful who you talk to. Not everyone out there likes dwarves.
Yeah, goblins. They abduct baby dwarves and sell them to magi, from what I've heard.
Not the best bit of business I've ever done. But what was I to do? The Longnoses threatened to throw you into the nearest river. Be on your guard. Look after the bag and don't lose it. May Palandiel be with you. And Vrakas too, of course.
I'll set off immediately. I'll see you soon, Lot Yonan.
Οπότε πάμε να χαιρετήσουμε την κοπελιά. Πίσουμε θα έχει να πάμε τίποτα.
Hello, Frala.
Τι τώρα δίνουμε δώρο ή παίρνουμε φαΐ? Αν δεν δίνουμε δώρο.
Got a present for you.
You take out a symbol of protection that you've carefully made from 3 horseshoe nails.
It's not the finest jewelry in Girdlegard.
One look at Frala's face makes it clear that it doesn't matter. She glows with happiness as she takes the pendant.
For me? But why?
Because you don't see me as an oddity, and you're like a little sister to me.
You could have said, but you settle with a shrug and a crooked smile.
I need provisions for 300 miles.
You're grinning from ear to ear. Finally, you've got the chance to see something of the world.
300? Tungdil, that's no errand. That's an epic journey. Wait, I've got just the right thing. But make sure the cook doesn't see.
I'm going to Blacksaddle to return a few things to a former apprentice in the Magus.
You pocket the rye bread, sausages, and ham. Enough food for the first few days of your journey.
Perhaps I'll even meet some dwarves on the way.
Frala throws you a cautious glance. It's a tricky subject that you can't help but broach.
There aren't dwarves down here. You're the only one in Idaslane, as far as we know.
I know, but I can't just have been born out of a rock. Somewhere in the mountains, I have a clan. Maybe even a family.
Yes. Maybe.
Frala has reminded you more than once that Lot Yonan wrote to the dwarf clans, and none of them were missing a dwarf boy.
I have to go. I've got a long journey ahead of me.
Ωραία, οπότε αυτός γεννήθηκε εδώ.
I wish you the blessing of Palandial and Vracus to protect you from all danger on your journey. Here, a talisman. Whenever you look at it, think of me.
Frala winks at you mischievously.
And of getting me a nice present.
Μάλιστα. Αγένεια.
How nice to see you again, Lot-Yonan. It must have been an age since we last met face to face.
Nudin, welcome. Please, sit down.
No, thank you, my friend. These are urgent matters, and I don't have much time. You must come to Leos Nudin immediately. The perished land is stirring.
Are you sure? What makes you think that?
Σε βγάζει και από τέτοιο.
60 orbits ago, during a visit to the borders. Our magical barriers have weakened and become porous. The Elfar have left their land, and a huge horde of orcs have marched into Girdlegard.
Were you able to strengthen the spell with your magic?
No. I can't repair the damage alone. We need the combined power of the 6. The other 4 are already on their way here, but we need your help too.
I will set off for Parista without delay.
Oh, and as you're coming, could you also take the opportunity to bring back the things that I lent to you?
Of course. I have them already packed in a bag.
Oh, thank you. We'll be expecting you.
Μάλιστα.
Utterly blinded by the sunlight, you squeeze your eyes tightly shut after only a few steps. The time spent underground has made you so sensitive to light that you're forced to seek shelter in the shade of a mighty oak.
Ωραία, τώρα τι κάνουμε? Δουλειόμαστε. Οπότε εμείς είμαστε εδώ και τώρα πρέπει να πάμε βήμα εδώ. Μάλλον. Ουσιαστικά εδώ είναι το ταξίδι.
Your feet hurt and your eyes still sting in the unaccustomed sunlight.
Για VIP δεν ξέρω, πρέπει να το δω. Όλοι τους μάτε έχεις το δικαίωμα και εσύ.
You pitch your camp and lie down to sleep on the hard forest floor. When you awake in the morning, your legs are stiff and achy. Trying not to feel sorry for yourself, you throw your rucksack over your shoulder. You're a dwarf, and dwarves don't complain.
Ωραία, οπότε εμείς που θα πάμε στο quest, την πόλη, πάμε στο quest.
Around midday, with the sun high in the sky and the first beads of sweat appearing on your forehead, you see something move next to the road, a few hundred meters ahead. Some crows are pecking at something in the long grass.
Και εδώ ουσιαστικά συμβαίνουν διάφορα event και εσύ επιλέγεις τι να κάνεις. Αν έχεις επιλογές, όχι πάντα, αλλά έχεις.
You survey the grass, the bushes and the few trees that are growing on both sides of the track. The wind blows through the grass and the leaves tremble. The pecking of the birds is only interrupted by the occasional fluttering of their wings. Apart from that, you see nothing.
Leave the road and sneak up to the crows. Ναι, το 2.
The creaking leather armor, the clattering rucksack, and a dwarf's inability to be quiet makes the crows flap around as you move from one bush to another. You give up trying to be stealthy, stand up straight, and see two human bodies in the flattened grass.
Και μόλις ανακαλύψουμε 2 πτώματα.
You don't see any signs of a struggle in the area where the corpses are lying. Were they stabbed by a companion? A stranger could hardly have crept up on them with such sparse cover. You scour the area once more and ask yourself what to do next.
Οπότε ουσιαστικά κάνουμε βόλτες και ψάχνουμε για στοιχεία. Άμα θέλεις φεύγεις βέβαια. Όχι, οι επόπτες κάθονται μετά το live stream και συζητάνε με μένα. Στο Discord. Θες να γίνεις?
Nothing again.
You halt. There is something.
A rucksack? Did someone hide it in the bushes, or was it thrown in there?
You open the rucksack and recognize that someone has already rummaged through it. As well as some implements and writing utensils, you find a pouch full of gold and a talisman. The gold is proof that this is not a case of robbery.
Παίρνω και τα δύο.
Warmth and a feeling of security flush through your body as you touch the talisman. You feel safer just holding it in your hand.
I'm taking you with me. It's not a robbery if you're already dead.
You give the corpse an apologetic look. The gold coins join the others in your purse. You scour the area once more and ask yourself, it's time-consuming and strenuous work digging shallow graves in the ground with a stick and covering the corpses with a few stones. It should at least keep the crows from their feasting for a while. You continue on your way so as to put a few more miles between you and your grisly find before night falls.
Α, ναι, εντάξει, κουνιέμαι με το ποντίκι, μόλις τα ανακάλυψα. Πάμε εδώ. Και πάμε να κάνουμε το quest.
You see a flickering light through the trees some way from the path. It might come from a campfire.
Unique chatters θα έχω, followers όχι.
You walk towards the fire with confident strides until you finally make out 3 broad-shouldered men with axes. 2 rabbits are sizzling over the fire. The men are joking with one another, but you can only understand the odd word. They haven't noticed you yet.
Ότι δεις πάτησε Alt F4.
Once you reach the edge of the firelight, you say amicably,
Greetings. My name is...
The men jump up and grab their axes.
Who's there?
Well, I'll be. Is that a groundling?
The men look you over suspiciously.
Ain't no reason to take up arms. Do you always greet guests with drawn blades?
Guard your tongue, groundling, when you talk to humans.
The man strengthens his grip on the axe and glares at you with evil yellow eyes.
Put down your weapons or I'll be forced to use mine.
You threatening us, groundling?
Now consider this. I am a dwarf with an axe, and I don't use my axe for cutting down trees.
The men are visibly unsettled and lower their axes a little.
I thought so.
You turn your back on the men and walk back to the path confidently. You don't hear any steps behind you, and only once you've put distance between you do you dare look back over your shoulder. None of the men have followed you. You sigh with relief. It could have ended up a very painful experience if you'd provoked the men or shown them any weakness.
Γυρνάει αυθονικά όπως ήδη γυρνάει. Συνεχίζουμε, πάμε εδώ. Και πάμε εδώ.
As the gable end of a small farmhouse and a barn appear from behind a hilltop, you hear the loud cries of children at play. A girl runs along the path laughing, followed by a small boy with a big stick in his hand. The boy is trying to catch up his sister with a determined look on his face, but is finding it difficult to keep his short legs under control on the uneven path. You walk towards the children. As you raise your hand to greet them, the boy catches sight of you. His eyes grow wide, and he points to you with a chubby little finger. All he can manage to say is, "There." Now the girl has turned to face you too. Before you can say a word, she lifts her little brother up into her arms and runs screaming towards the farmhouse. Without rushing, you follow the children to the farmhouse into which they've disappeared. After a few moments, they reappear, accompanied by their parents. Their father is a thick-set man with grey hair.
I am Opatia. This is my wife, Remsa.
The blonde woman nods a greeting almost imperceptibly and clasps her daughter tightly to her. She looks you over with an anxious expression.
It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Tungdal.
You try to make your voice sound as harmless as possible.
Ωραία.
Over the last few days, have you seen two travelers heading east?
Opatia looks at his wife, but she shakes her head.
Why do you ask?
You wave dismissively.
Oh, nothing. They were just friends that I was hoping to meet. I'm sorry if I scared your wife and children.
The man waves dismissively.
No. It's just that my fair woman is especially jumpy these days.
The orcs have been spotted near Calmstead. You should take it more seriously.
The farmer's wife clutches her daughter even tighter before the girl finally protests. The boy steps forward excitedly and cuts the air with his stick.
If strangers come, we're supposed to run away, but I can hit them too.
Opatia pats his son on the head, laughing.
We're safe. The orcs have no reason to come so far north.
Wouldn't it be better to move to one of the bigger villages if there are orcs around?
The farm is our livelihood. We can't just leave the place. The fields don't look after themselves. King Tilligorn's cavalry will take care of the orcs, or like Yonan and his magi.
But the cavalry can't be everywhere at once. Even a handful of orcs would be enough to finish us.
Once the seeds are planted, I'll build the hideaway, just as you wish. But what use is a hideaway if we've nothing to eat in the autumn?
We can't be sure whether the orcs will come here, but what is for certain is that you will starve without a harvest.
That's exactly what I said.
Opatia lays a hand on his wife's shoulder.
Don't worry, I'll build a hideaway as soon as everything else is taken care of.
But...
Trust me, even the good dwarf here says it is so. And if anyone knows about orcs, then it's the dwarves.
Remsa nods slowly, then looks towards the ground glumly.
If you say so.
You bid farewell and set off on your way. The children follow you for a while, before saying their goodbyes in laughter and running back towards the farm. You look down on a large village on the banks of the Warder. Some of the village is built on stilts in the river. A wooden bridge spans the fast-flowing water. A huge wooden palisade has been erected to protect the village from attack. Your eyes roam the land on the other side of the river. You estimate that you will soon have completed half of the journey to Blacksaddle, but you still can't make out the mountain on the horizon. The guards on the palisade are watching you. Their armor looks well cared for and well made. The smith who made them knew what he was doing. You conclude that the men depend on the protection the armor offers and aren't just wearing them to look good. They're certainly not villagers.
Πάμε εδώ και βλέπουμε.
There are small fires burning every 50 steps or so. They are intended to light up the area in front of the palisade in the night, so that orcs can't creep up to within an arrow's reach without being seen.
Ουσιαστικά πιο μετά αποκτάς κι άλλο κόσμο. Γίνεστε παραπάνω άτομα από όσο ξέρω. Ή γίνεται λίγο πιο πολύ ξύλο. Έχει λίγο πιο σύχνες μάχες και λίγο.
You have spent the last nights under bushes on the hard, cold ground. You are yearning for a good meal and a real bed. The double gate is made of strong planks, sturdy but still much less solid than the fixed parts of the palisade. Security has been forgone here for practical reasons. Never a good idea when building fortifications. Some of the guards begin to whisper as you near the gate.
Hello up there! What brings you to fair good water? And have you seen any orcs on your travels, groundling?
The man leaning over the palisade eyes you up and down carefully.
Goodwater is well known for its hospitality.
A fact that you've just made up yourself.
Let me in, and I will tell other travellers all about it.
I regret to inform you that we cannot allow you to enter. The gate stayed closed once night has fallen.
There is certainly no regret showing in the man's face.
I'm a blacksmith. And a dwarf. Let me tell you, your gate might look solid, but it won't withstand a real orc assault.
The murmuring all around him makes the man pause for a moment. If anyone else had criticized the stronghold, they'd have been laughed down and shooed away. But no one understands defense systems like the dwarves.
A dwarf blacksmith who just happens to be standing in front of our gate?
Well...
That's right. I can see to it that orcs crack open their skulls on your gate, just like at home on the High Pass. Skulls that add up to hard cash for you.
You only know about the secondling stronghold from books, but you can see in the man's face you've pushed the right buttons.
All right then. You can spend the night in the village. You begin work tomorrow morning, and it had better work like you promised.
Of course. It's a trifle.
Και μπήκα μέσα τζάμπα.
After a meal, you spend the night in the comfort and shelter of a Goodwater tavern. The next morning, you feel fully refreshed. You strengthen the gate with cross braces of wood and iron, using your experience and skill. Now it should be able...
Well done, dwarf. We were right to bring you into our village.
The village grew rich through bridge tolls, and this wealth must be defended.
Μάλιστα.
I've spent almost half an orbit strengthening the gate. How about a bit of compensation?
The council member's face darkens.
We've paid for food and lodgings, and because we're generous, we've also thrown in the bridge toll. Good day, Mr. Dwarf.
Οπότε συνεχίζουμε ευθεία. Πάμε ευθεία.
An uneasy feeling has been your constant companion since you left Goodwater. Every little sound in the forest makes you fear you've been discovered by a horde of orcs. But you reach the end of the day without bumping into any of the greenskins. It seems as though Vrakas has granted you one more day in Girdlegard. As night begins to fall, you pass a large oak tree and decide to call it a day. Near the oak tree is an abandoned camp with a fireplace, which appears to be a couple of days old.
Μάλιστα. Πω. Ένα κατάπια κουνούπι έτσι, το πιστεύω. Πω. Νεκρός βρέθηκα. Αυτό είναι που λένε πήρα το αίμα μου πίσω. Αυτό ήταν καταπέσιο.
You swing yourself up the trunk and then pull up your baggage after you. You're prepared to sleep in a tree like a bird if it means escaping the orcs' attentions. You sling your rope twice around your stomach and the trunk of the tree to stop you from falling accidentally. You close your eyes and dream. You see North Pass and smell the fresh, icy wind that sweeps over the peaks of Great Blade and Dragon's Tongue. But the harmony is interrupted by the hideous roar of an unending flood of orcs throwing itself unceasingly against the fortification. You smell the disgusting green blood of the orcs and taste the rancid fat of their armor on your tongue. The bitter taste becomes stronger until it's unbearable and wrenches you out of your dream. You open your eyes and are surprised at the brightness as a glance at the sky confirms that it's still night. Your eyes move towards the ground, and what you see
makes the blood in your veins freeze.
Μάλιστα. Ένα-δύο. Καλά έκανε και κοιμήθηκα στο δέντρο, δηλαδή.
I am Synthras of Son Balsur. My master, Nod On the Doublefold, ruler of the perished land, has elected you, the lords of Taboribor, to be the sword that conquers the south.
You mean you want us to put our necks on the line and be killed by some magus?
Lord Yonan and the others will be taken care of. Your task is to create a diversion in the south until my master's plan succeeds.
And which of us is the leader?
The one that conquers the most land.
So Kragnar will be the new Grand Lord.
He glares at Ushnots and Bashkug.
The Kragnar short tribe will conquer the most land.
Never! We will overwhelm the cities of the Red Bloods quicker than you can suck the marrow from a bone.
We shall see.
You can't believe what you're hearing. If the beasts of Tion ride into battle together, catastrophic cycles lie ahead for Girdlegard. The night in the oak tree was the worst of your life. You spent every single moment afraid that you'd be found and savaged by the orcs. But as the first rays of sun broke through the treetops, the orcs abandoned their camp and left without discovering you.
Better safe than sorry.
Your eyes scan the deserted camp, and you listen carefully for any noise. But you don't see or hear anything suspicious.
Ακόμα λίγο.
Better safe than sorry.
Your eyes scan the deserted camp, and you listen carefully for any noise.
But you don't see
or hear anything suspicious.
Better safe than sorry.
Your eyes scan.
Οπότε έχει το ίδιο πράγμα συνέχεια.
You're overcome by the urge to vomit. You have, of course, heard the stories, but seeing with your own eyes that orcs actually do eat humans is a long way from just reading about it.
This is the place. I knew it was here. Come on then, find that stupid necklace. Hey, Fuskar! In front of you! A grounding! Perfect for a spotted breakfast.
You know that you're no warrior, but you want to face the orcs as a child of the Divine Smith. Perhaps you'll manage to kill at least one of them, so as not to appear so undwarven in Varacus's eyes.
I'll give you something to chew on. Varacus made us of stone.
Oink, oink, little piggies! By Barrowin's beard! How did you manage to lose your weapon? Go and get it, and this time, hold it tight! Hey! That one was mine!
You're just too slow, dear brother!
Too slow? Just wait!
At once. Pavrakis!
What is it?
Huh?
Έχουν skills, εντάξει.
And what now?
Αυτός ανοίγει berserk νομίζω. Και αυτός...
With pleasure.
Yes? End it. Huh?
And what now? Yeah! I didn't hit you very hard.
On my way. Attack!
Yes? Oh, what bad
Ω,
luck
έχει το
for
ξώτα.
you.
Οπότε εσύ πας στο ξώτας.
I'm with you. Pow! Another one bites the dust. Come here, you. And what now?
Εσύ κάνεις αυτό εδώ. Εσύ...
With pleasure. Too easy.
Ωραία.
All right. Say
Ας εκεί γρήγορα να το σκοτώσεις. Α, δεν προλαβαίνω.
Put up a fight. Huh? And what now?
Απ.
They're hitting me pretty
Ωραία.
hard.
Δεν έχεις πολύ life, αγόρι μου.
End it. Vile creature.
Too easy. What is it? What is it?
Εσύ είσαι τάγκ, εσύ καταλαβαίνεις Χριστό, τι φάση.
Yes. And what now?
Εσύ πηγαίνετε στον κρεμό.
I'm with you.
Ωραία. Και πηδάς εδώ.
What is it?
Εσύ τώρα είσαι ένα βέρνα. Το έχεις.
Yes. Oh, bad luck for you. And what now? I am Boenda. Give me a hand.
Όχι.
Yes.
Εσύ βάρα αυτό.
Yeah.
Κάσε τώρα αυτόν. Εσύ... Είδα κατά εκεί.
Yes, yes. Of course. Huh?
Εσύ δεν έχεις ανάγκη για τίποτα, εσύ απλά πολέμα.
Say goodbye forever.
Understood.
Όχι, όχι.
End it.
Yeah.
At once.
Εσύ κατά εκεί. Εσύ...
Yes. At once.
What is it? He hardly put up a foul. Another one bites the dust. On my way.
Οπότε σαράζεται. Ας εσύ πολεμάς.
As good as done. All right. Don't rush me. Pow! Another one and bites the now? Dust. Come here, you.
Attack!
Huh? Say goodbye forever.
Huh?
Yes?
Pavrakis!
Too easy.
Έτσι, μπράβο.
Oink oink. That's all? No more orcs? Well fought, young friend. Do you happen to be tongued ill? Well fought? But he fought like a... Boindale, what do you expect? He grew up amongst the humans.
Who are you and how do you know my name?
My name is Boindal Hookhand of the clan of the Swinging Axes. This is my brother Boindale Doubleblade. We've been sent to find you. Call me Ironheart. Are there any more piggy snouts around here?
You turned up at just the right moment. But are you sure it's me you're looking for?
The High King Gundrabor sent us to fetch you and bring you to Ogre's death in the Secondling realm in the south.
So he received the letter from my master? And am I a secondling?
Well, something like that, I guess.
Well.
Then my family was found and the High King wants to bring me back to my clan.
No, you're not a secondling. You're a fourthling. And you're to...
The High King will tell you all about that once we get to Ogre's death. We should get going.
Και είναι η τέταρτη γενιά ουσιαστικά των orcs. Των orcs λέω. Άνων μάλλον.
There was a meeting last night. The Elfar serve a certain Nod-On who calls himself Lord of the Perish Land. They have enlisted 3 orc hordes to cause unrest in the south.
Did you hear that, Boandal? Peggy snouts!
The Elfar from San Balzur and the orcs from Taboribor are working together?
And could ally with the orcs from the Perish Land.
The twins look at you solemnly. You all know what that would mean for the people of Girdlegard.
We've got to...
Yeah, I know what you're gonna say, but it's our duty to get you to the Ogre's Death Fortress in one piece.
I thought the duty of dwarves was to protect the innocent in Girdlegard.
Lot Yonan and King Broron will take care of the orcs. We 3 must be careful. You're not exactly a warrior.
But he has broad shoulders and broad hands. There's hope for him yet. So when you've got the chance to split a few orc skulls, you should take it.
I would be happy to follow you into the realm of the Secondlings. In truth, there is nothing I would rather do. But first, I must travel to Blacksaddle and return some things to a former famulus of Lot Yonan.
Blacksaddle isn't exactly on our way.
It's on my way. We can head south as soon as I've carried out Lot Yonan's orders.
Well, he's certainly got the stubbornness of a dwarf. Perhaps we'll be able to make a real dwarf of him on the way.
All right, we'll accompany you. The sooner we find that famulus, the quicker we can get back to the mountains.
I'll have to send Lot Yonan a message by carrier pigeon on the way. And if we happen to stumble upon a couple of orcs...
I like you, but we'll have to find you another name. Bolafar. It's about as good as Lipsmith, Paddletosh, or Blufflegrump. It is stupid, senseless, and definitely not a name of honor. What are you good at?
I'm good at reading.
Reading? You're a scholar?
Και πήραμε και τα achievement. Ναι, skill up. Και loot.
The road leads up a small hill. From the top, you can see a few farmhouses in the distance. There is smoke rising up from the village, and the battle cries of attacking orcs can be heard even this far off.
Καμιά μήνα, δεν έχει τέτοια. Τρώμε χωριά τώρα, είμαστε 3. Α, ναι. Θέλω άλλη μια μέρα για να έχω full life. Αυτό θέλω 3 μέρες για να έχω full life. Oh boy. Passive. μάλιστα. Nevertheless. Και εδώ κάτω βλέπουμε τερλέσιους υπνοτισίδες. Α, διαλέγει τα άλλες μας. Και άλλο τάγκινες, όχι. Α, εσύ πας εδώ. Σε πας αυτό. Πάρεις αυτό. Αυτά, εσύ δεν θα πάρεις τίποτα.
Understood. On my way.
Those blasted trumpeters are calling for reinforcements.
Not for long. Yes?
What is it? As good as
Έλα,
done,
εσύ πήγες μπροστά.
Huh?
Και τον σκοτώνεις.
Vile creature.
And what now?
Εσύ πηδάς εδώ.
Huh?
Και εσύ
All right.
πας εδώ.
As good as done.
Παπ. Ωραία. Οπότε εσύ πας εδώ τώρα.
End it.
Πας
And
αυτόν.
what now?
Και εσύ πας αυτόν.
Pow!
Όχι.
Another one bites the dust. Oh, what bad luck for you!
Kill.
What is
Ωραία.
it? What is it? Huh? Say goodbye forever. Oh, what bad luck for you!
Yes? Pavrakas! Huh?
Yes? Say goodbye forever. Huh? And what now? Pow! Another one bites the dust. Yeah! Too easy. Pow! Another one.
I need help over here! Quickly!
What is it?
They're hitting me pretty hard!
Yes? Yes? Oh, what bad luck for you!
Huh? Attack! Kill!
Yeah! Another one bites the dust. Huh? What is it? What is it? Next.
Ωραία, το δέχομαι.
Pavrakas!
Pow! Another one bites the dust.
Είναι το
Say
ξέρω στον εγώ
goodbye
εκεί.
forever. I didn't hit you very hard. I have what bad
Give me a
luck for
hand.
you. Say goodbye forever. What is it? I'm not that quick.
Εμείς προσπαθούμε να κάνουμε escape τώρα πάλι.
On my way.
Ναι.
He hardly put up a fight.
Κάνουμε.
All right. On my way. I just need too easy.
Yes?
Α, τον χάσαμε τον έναν.
Yeah.
Vile creature! Understood. End it!
Yeah. Huh? All right.
Όρμα ρε. Όχι.
Huh?
Attack! I didn't hit you very hard.
Others will take my place.
Όχι. Αυτός τι κάνει. Έρχονται κι άλλοι.
Oh, what bad luck for you! As good as done. On my way. All right, say goodbye forever.
Έλα, που αστόχησε.
On my way. With pleasure. Say goodbye forever. As good as done. All right.
Έλα, εντάξει. Οκ. Οπότε πρέπει να τους φάμε πριν προλάβουν να καλέσουν ενισχύσεις.
On my way. Yes?
Huh? And what now? Yes, what is it?
Those blasted trumpeters are calling for reinforcements.
Not for long.
I'm with you. Come here, you.
Huh? Favrakis!
And what now? What is it?
Huh? Yes? On my way.
And what now? Huzzah! Yes, yes. I'm with you. Of course.
Another one bites the dust.
Yes, yes. Come here, you.
Huh?
Πού είναι ο άλλος μέτος?
Understood. At once. Favrakis! End it. Kill. Yes?
Ωραία.
Yes? What is it?
Εσύ αυτό.
Huh?
Εσύ.
I'm with you. Yes, yes.
Ωραία, πάει και δεύτερος.
At once.
Attack! What is it?
With pleasure.
Yes? What is it? I'm with you. Ha ha!
Yes?
Ανοίγουμε τάγκινες.
At once.
Και τώρα δεν έχει άλλες ενισχύσεις, οπότε ελπίζουμε. Ωραία.
And what now?
As good as done.
I need help over here, quickly. They're hitting me pretty hard. End it.
What is it? What is it?
Εσύ.
Huzzah! He hardly put up a fight.
Έλα, πάμε εδώ.
I didn't hit you very hard. I'm with you.
Huh?
Yeah. Huh? Huh?
Say goodbye forever.
Favrakis!
Yes? With pleasure. Too easy.
Huh?
Yeah. Pow! Another one bites the dust. Who's that?
Yes? Please wait a moment. End it.
Yes.
Bow and dog.
I didn't
Give
hit
me
you
a
very
hand.
hard.
Οπα.
Of course.
Too easy.
Yes, yes.
Ωραία. Παπ.
Of course.
Huh?
I am bow and dog.
Huh?
Give me a hand. Ow!
What is it?
Hey!
All right. I didn't hit you very hard.
Έπρεπε να το κάνουμε μέσα. Τώρα. Life saver.
No sooner is the battle won than terrified
They reveal it
survivors
from the
start to
orcs.
venture out of their hiding places. Women with sheets ripped into strips and buckets of hot water take care of the injured. A man with a blood-encrusted arm approaches you.
My name is Malchius. I am... well, I think that I am now the mayor of this village. Without your help, we wouldn't have been able to stop the orcs. I thank you. and regret that we have nothing to offer you as a reward.
The man's contemplative expression brightens.
Unless, if you want to cross the river, we can ferry you. Everyone for miles around will know your names, for we owe our lives to you. Whenever you want to get to the other bank, just let us know.
You thank him politely and spend the night as honored guests in Malchius's house. All evening, people come to the house to give you small gifts and swear eternal thanks. The next day, you depart. First amidst protest, then grateful cheers.
Πέντε μέρες. 4 μέρες. Έχουν φύγει 29. Όχι 20. Τι τρώμε. Όχι τι. Πάμε να δούμε τι είναι. Να μιλήσουμε.
You see a light through the trees some way from the path. It inevitably brings to mind your encounter with the woodcutters. You tell the dwarves about your encounter with the woodcutters and how you intimidated them.
Ha! Very dwarf-like, but I think we'll have to teach them a lesson anyway.
Humans are not our enemies, Boindel.
You must confess that you'd have liked to have taught the woodcutters a lesson, but Boendal is right.
Beating up humans is not our mission.
But...
A harsh glance from you and Boendal silences Boindil. You continue on your way with a furious Boindil trailing behind.
Είμαστε κομπλέ τώρα πολλά, πώς πάει?
You and the twins approach Goodwater. A huge army of orcs has surrounded the village on 3 sides. You see smoke and fire and hear the battle cries. The village is holding out, but for how long?
Πάμε να βοηθήσουμε. Free XP.
Oh, now it's getting exciting. Archers in front of them, 3 dwarves behind. I wouldn't like to be in their shoes.
Life έχουμε. Full life. Πάμε έτσι. Πού πας? Τι κάνουμε τώρα?
What is it?
Πρέπει να σκοτώσουμε 25 ώρες.
Yes. What is it?
Οπότε, εσύ μπαίνεις με τη μία μέσα στη μάχη.
What is it? With pleasure.
Εσύ πας μόνος κατά εκεί. Και εσύ πολύ μας σκάσει. Έχει και το ξώτος. Εσύ να πας κατά εδώ.
Yes. Yes.
Αυτός έπεσε κάτω.
Another one bites the dust. I need help over here, quickly.
Δεν είναι όπως το υπολογίζαμε. Όχι, δεν είναι όπως το υπολογίζαμε. Αυτός έχει τρελαθεί. Δώσου. Το χάσαμε λίγο γρήγορα. Μέσα στους 8, έτσι. Νομίζω να τους είχα λίγο πιο μερίκα.
Understood. On my way. Understood. On my way.
Το ξέρω.
At once.
Οπότε δεν έχω κουσάρει πολύ το ξέρω.
At once. Understood. At once. On my way. Understood. On my way.
Οπότε πάμε εδώ.
Understood. End it. Yeah! They're hitting me pretty hard.
Όσο θα τους βάλω να τρέχουν λίγο παραπάνω. Να τους σώσω.
At once. Understood. On my way. Understood. On my way. At once. Yeah! I need help over here, quickly. On my way. Understood.
Did you see that, men? Now they are warriors. Hey, you down there. I'll send you some...
All right then. Stay close to us. Fabracus! Kill! On my way. Understood. Yeah! At once. End it. Understood. Yeah! On my way. At once.
Να το κάνω restart λίγα.
Fabracus! End it. Understood.
Γιατί νομίζω δεν παίρνουν XP αυτοί που είναι πεθαμένοι.
Yeah! It can't end like this.
Οπότε πάμε λίγο πιο ομαδικά αυτή τη φορά.
What is it? Huh?
And what now?
Yes.
As good as done.
At once.
Huh?
Yes?
Huh? Yes?
Huh? Fabracus!
What is it?
Huh? What is
Yes.
it?
Yeah! Who's next?
Huh?
Huh?
I'm with you. Huzzah!
Yes?
Yeah!
What is it? With pleasure. As good as done. All right.
He hardly put up
yes.
a fight. Of course. I'm not that quick.
Huh?
Yes?
Who's next?
Understood.
Yeah! Ow!
Huh?
Hey!
Oh,
What is
sorry.
it? What is it? Huzzah! Ha-ha! Come here, you!
Yes?
Going down! Give me a hand!
Το δώσαμε 13. Τώρα πάμε κατά εκεί.
On my
What
way.
is it? Huh? I'm with you! Yes, yes! I'm with you!
Huh?
Yes? Huh?
Yes? What is it? Yes, yes!
Να το ψώτες εδώ.
Of course!
Uh-huh.
Yeah!
Huh? As good as done. Oh, what bad luck for you!
Huh?
Yeah!
At once. Uh-huh.
Huh?
Huh? Yes, yes! Of course!
Τι έπαθες τώρα.
Yes, yes!
Yes?
Να σου θες να δεν πάω σε φτιάξω τώρα.
Yeah!
Yes?
He hardly put up a fight!
Uh-huh.
And what now?
Huh?
Vile creature!
All right. Killed. As good as done.
Ωραία, 24 άτομα.
Huh? On my way.
Did you see that, men?
All right then. Stay close to us. At once. End it.
Yeah!
Yes?
Yes?
Huh? Of course!
Too easy.
Yes, yes! Who's next?
Uh-huh.
Huh? On my way. Say goodbye forever.
Huh?
I didn't hit you very hard. Attack! Wild creature.
Yes?
Yes? What is it? Who's next?
They're hitting me pretty hard.
Too easy.
I need help over here. Quick!
Another one bites the dust.
For breakfast.
Ow! Hey,
Yes.
what is it? I'm with you. Yes.
On my way. Understood.
Yes? And what now? Of course. Yes.
Πού πάει?
Of course. Huzzah!
Yes. At once.
What is it? Huh? On my way. Who's next? As good as done.
Wild creature.
I'm with you. Yes. And what now? What is it? All right. Say goodbye forever.
On my way.
Yes. Ow! With pleasure. Hey! Huh? Too easy. Come here, you.
The orcs' fighting spirit lessens with every fallen comrade. After Kragnar's death, they finally attempt to flee the battlefield. Very few escape the mercenaries' arrows. The leader of the mercenaries approaches you, surrounded by his soldiers. His expression is one of recognition, caution, perhaps even awe.
You're the groundling, dwarf, who reinforced our gate a couple of days ago. It served us very well, just as your axes have.
A young mercenary runs towards you. He has something in his hands that he clearly wants to get rid of quickly.
Commander, we found this on their leader. It feels strange.
The commander looks at the amulet in the man's hand and makes no suggestion that he plans to touch it himself. You take your opportunity.
May I?
You take the amulet and can feel a tingling on your skin. It is clearly magical.
Keep it, as a sign of our gratitude.
The commander bids you farewell with a short nod and moves away. It would seem he thinks he's made a good deal.
Χρειαζόμαστε φαΐ.
By the evening campfire, Boindil rummages around in his rucksack and pulls out a cheese wrapped in a cloth. He sticks a fist-sized piece on a spit and grills it on the fire.
There's nothing better than grilled cheese at the end of a long day.
The smell it gives off makes you hold your breath.
Oh, it smells like my socks after weeks of marching in my boots.
Oh, picky, are you? Hardly surprising, considering you were brought up by humans. It's ruined your taste.
Boindil holds the stinky cheese at the end of the stick under your nose.
Eat, and stop complaining.
You pull the warm piece of cheese from the stick. It tastes dreadful. Your fingers will smell of it for the next few days, and probably your mouth will too. You arrive at a crossroads with a tavern on the corner. A warm light is emanating from its window, lighting up the road around it. A stone sculpture of a sheep stands in front of the door, and above it a sign, swaying gently in the breeze, reads, "The Stone Sheep." You enter the tavern with a determined stride, and are greeted by a thick wall of pipe smoke. The dozen or so drinkers at the tables turn towards you, then give each other astonished and slightly worried looks. In the tavern, there are half a dozen people sitting at the tables, and just as many at the bar, clearly farmers and labourers from the surrounding villages. Boindale pays no attention to the other guests and trudges over to a table. Together with his brother, you follow him and sit down. The landlord comes out from behind the bar.
What can I get you?
You hear surly muttering from one of the tables.
What are groundlings doing showing their faces here, now of all times?
Λοιπόν.
I wouldn't mind a pint of ale.
The landlord nods and takes the twins' order too. Shortly after, he returns with your beers and puts them down in front of you.
Is that all?
You stand up and turn to the room.
This round's on me.
The faces of the guests and the landlord brighten up immediately. The landlord gets to work pulling everyone a beer and handing out the tankards. Some of the guests say cheers to you as they get their drinks. You turn to the guest who'd muttered something about groundlings.
And why is it so strange that we're here?
The man glances up briefly and then stares drunkenly at his tankard and mutters with a slur.
Don't play the innocent. The orcs are terrorizing our lands. And whose fault is it? You let them in.
I was not at the stone gateway, and I don't know what happened. But you can be sure of one thing. Dwarves would never cooperate with orcs. We kill them no sooner than we say them, or my name isn't Boindale Doubleblade.
The drunkard and his neighbour are given a start. They mumble an apology and turn their attention to the beer in front of them.
Μάλιστα. Θα δούμε τι έχουν και απολύμα. Μπορούμε να τους. Μάλλον όλα. Δεν ξέρω πόσο καιρό θα πάρει. Όλα. Θα τα πάρουμε ναι. Όχι, θα πάρουμε 60. Ας πάρουμε.
Has anything interesting happened here lately?
The landlord shakes his head indifferently and mumbles something incoherently. One of the guests is about to say something, but shuts up when the person next to him gives him a poke.
We're tired and long for a proper bed.
Of course, gentlemen.
You spend a restful night in the tavern and then head off on your way again.
Οπότε ξεκουραστήκαμε, πήραμε φαΐ και μπορούμε να ταξιδέψουμε για άλλους 20 καιρούς. Πάμε εδώ κάτω. Πάμε εκεί πάνω. Πάμε εκεί πάνω.
You arrive at a small, bustling village. One thing is clearly missing from the lively scene. The sound of metal on metal from the village smithy that would normally be heard above everything else at this time of day. A dour, grim-looking man is sitting in front of the forge with his right arm in a sling. His expression brightens as he sees you, and he jumps to his feet.
Dear dwarves, could I interest you in helping me in my workshop for a day?
The man's expression is somewhere between desperation and hope. As you don't answer immediately, he continues.
You will, of course, be royally rewarded for your work. I can offer you 100 gold pieces.
What happened to your arm?
A stupid accident. A box of blanks fell down. I was trying to catch it. It will heal, fortunately, but I won't be able to wield my hammer for a while.
You must have quite a backlog of work.
You nod sympathetically. You always felt bad if you were ill or couldn't work in the forge for some reason or other.
Loads. But if what I hear about the metalworking skills of the dwarves is true, it would be easy for you to manage it in a day.
I could help you, but compared to human standards, I'm a master smith, so my services will cost you more.
The smith gulps.
More? How much?
Give me 150 gold pieces. Then we have a deal.
That is a lot. But, all right. I only hope that your skills are as good as you promise, Mr. Dwarf.
The smith is clearly unhappy that he has to pay you more, but in the end, the most important thing for him seems to be getting the work done. A little later, you are standing in the workshop, examining the smith's inferior tools, while he fires up the forge and prepares everything for the job as well as he can with just one good arm. You weren't able to persuade the twins to help you. As warriors, they'd rather go hunting, Boindil declared. But you think it's more probable that you'll find them drinking beer. But you don't care. You're excited about being able to smith again after such a long time. Hours later, you have forgotten everything around you. The heat of the forge, the sweat on your warm skin, the play of the flames. You're in your element and work as if in a trance. The smith left the workshop ages ago with a satisfied grin on his face.
Wait, I'm talking to you.
You look up in surprise. Everything but the beating of the hammer had ceased to exist, and you didn't notice that someone has come in.
Can you do it?
You immediately dislike the middle-aged man. He sounds you out so doggedly with his light grey eyes that it feels as though he wants to look right through you and into your deepest thoughts. The man points to 2 horses.
Those 2, in 1 hour.
With the forge hammer in your hand, you play dumb. You blink and look back and forth between the horses and the man.
What's the deal with the horses?
You expect the man to fly off the handle, but you feel even more uneasy when he asks you quietly and very slowly to please re-shoe the 2 horses.
Ξαφνικά μηδέν.
I'm sorry. Too much to do. Try somewhere else.
You got a nerve, you little rat.
The man moves menacingly close, his hand on his sword, when the man with grey eyes holds him back.
Not here.
The angry mercenary glares briefly at his leader before stomping out of the forge.
I thank you for your help, Mr. Dwarf. Perhaps we'll meet again.
The men leave the workshop. The men join a larger group of horsemen, more than a dozen, outside the village. You stay hidden and listen.
Not here in the village. Go. Search the road between here and Clintal again.
The other mercenaries nod and the group rides off. You can't make head nor tail of what's going on here, but you don't like it. You tell the twins about your encounter, and they decide to be especially vigilant over the next days. You spend the night in the smith's house and move on the next morning. In the early evening, you make an unusual discovery on the side of the road. A colourful trader's wagon has been carelessly abandoned, with not a soul in sight.
I don't like the look of this one bit, Boindil. You take a look around there, I'll stay on this side. Tungdil, you check the surrounding area, and be careful.
You can see a lot of tracks in the mud around the wagon. Hoof prints and footprints from humans in heavy boots. At least half a dozen long ones must have approached the wagon from the woods on both sides. You scan the road and the woods on both sides. Apart from the twins who are fighting their way through the undergrowth within earshot, you can't hear or see anyone. The dwindling daylight provides little light inside the wagon. It smells of leather, spices, and candles. And there's another smell in the air, which you can't quite place. It reminds you of your forge in Lot Yonan's vaults, but different. It is messy, but no more so than you would expect from a single dwarf. The bed is rumpled, and there are tools and leftover materials piled up on the little workbench. There are several cupboards hanging on the right-hand wall. At the end of the wagon, there's a large wardrobe, and next to the door on the left is a heavy wooden chest with rusty metal hinges. As you try to lift the lid of the chest, you realize that the lock has been broken out of the wood. You open the lid and look inside. Amongst clothes and some empty boxes, you find a loot case and a beautiful loot of the kind that humans build, as well as a bag of bread and cured meat. You take the loot. You can't play, but an instrument like this is worth good gold. You take the bread and the cured meat. The extra provisions should keep you going for a few days. You reach for the knob of the wardrobe and then stop. The rug in front of the wardrobe squelches as you step on it, as if you had stepped in a puddle. You try to work out what has soaked the rug, when suddenly the door of the wardrobe springs open and something bounces into you. You take a step back, and the realization of what hit you makes you take two more. Lying on the floor in front of you is the body of a dwarf, headless. His head has been cut clean from his neck. The dwarf is wearing clothes that look more like human robes, and bears no coat of arms that would identify his kingdom. You didn't know him, but no one deserves to die like this. His head is being cut off cleanly, probably with a sharp blade. A quick glance in the wardrobe confirms what you already suspect. The dwarf's head is nowhere to be seen. The smaller cupboards are piled high with a multitude of tins and boxes, all filled with odds and ends that the trader offered for sale to customers on his trips. Nothing of real interest. The wagon itself isn't damaged, nor is the drawbar, but the belts and leashes that normally hold the draft animals have been cut clean through. You give a short, sharp whistle, and the twins come running at the double. You tell them what you found.
A group of horsemen with heavy boots has been here. And I found Mort in the wagon. Beheaded. I have a hunch that the mercenaries from Fallow Rock have something to do with this.
Wretched dwarf killers!
You can tell that Boindil wants revenge and can understand his feelings well. You wrap the body in linen, dig a hole in the woods, and place the body in it. You lay a couple of his tools and other personal belongings you found in the wagon next to him. You wish there was more you could do for him. You continue on your journey in gloomy spirits. You come across an orchard next to a farmstead and surrounded by several fields of wheat. You don't see anyone working in the fields, but there's a young man lying under an apple tree. He has his legs crossed and a straw hat is covering his face.
Excuse me, but we're looking for a group of mercenaries. Have they passed by here?
The young man is startled. He must have nodded off. He looks around anxiously. When he sees you, the fear disappears from his face and is replaced by curiosity. It seems to you that the man is sizing you up.
And if I answer, what's in it for me?
Kill.
If you can't help us, we'd be happy to ask the owner of the farmstead. We'll just tell him that the man sleeping in the shade of the orchard sent us. What do you think?
The man seems to size you up, and then a crooked smile spreads across his face.
All right, you caught me. The people rode northwest. But please don't tell Father Mullen.
There's no reason for that if you told the truth. So, northwest, you say?
You continue on your journey, while the lazy labourer sinks back into the grass. The first thing you notice as you enter the village of Clintal is how quiet it is. There is hardly a soul in the streets, and the few people you do see immediately disappear into their houses as you get closer. Boindil draws his axes, and Boendal his raven's beak.
Something's not quite right here. Be alert.
You walk on until you reach the village square. Without a word, men enter the square from the left and the right, cutting off your way. You recognize the leader of the group of mercenaries, looking you over with a satisfied expression. Standing next to him is a frail man with greying hair, who doesn't seem able to cope with the situation. He tries several times to say something, but can't find the right words. Before you have the chance to say anything, the leader of the men calls loudly so that they can all hear.
That's them! They're the ones who murdered the poor travelling trader Mort.
Murderers? Come here, dwarf killer!
Are you denying your terrible deed? You were seen murdering poor old Mort, one of your kind, in cold blood.
The old man points unnecessarily to the leader of the mercenaries.
We are not murderers. A dwarf would never do anything like this to a fellow dwarf.
Is that so? Are there those amongst you who you call dwarf killers? A whole kingdom of them, and you claim that dwarves would never kill dwarves?
It's true. Mort spoke of this kingdom. Dwarves who kill dwarves. You lie! Seize them!
Like έκανα. Έτσι εσύ φταίς. Καλά είπε εγώ δεν το κάνω το άλλο.
Watch out for the archers. Concentrate on the mercenaries and try not to kill the villagers.
Δεν ξυπήρ αυτά. Έχουμε και άλλα τάλισμα. Πάρ' το εσύ. Δεν είναι κακούλη. Τώρα τι κάνω.
Yes. What is it?
Ανάποδα.
Huh? Yes. And what now?
Εσύ τα παίξεις,
Yes. At once. Pow! Another one bites the dust. I can't do that yet. End it.
Τώρα σκοτώνουμε ανθρώπους χωρίς να είμαι αριθμό.
Yeah. What is it? Huh? Kill. Say goodbye forever. And what now? Yeah. Yes, with pleasure. Others will take another one bites the dust. What is it?
Α, σκότωσα το. Σήκω, έλα, σήκω.
On my way.
Θα ρεστάρω.
All right. On my way. Huh? As good as done.
Πλάκας που είδα.
All right. On my way. What is it? As good as done. What is it?
Πού πάμε, ανάποδα.
As good as done. All right.
Τώρα άμα κάνω λέω ότι θα βγάλει την πίστα. Εντάξει αυτή. Έγινε τώρα, σκότωσα τον δικό μου. Είσαι ή δεν είσαι.
Understood. At once. Understood. Attack! I can't do that yet. Huh? As good as done. Huh? Of course! I didn't hit you very hard! Who's next? What is it? All right. On my way. As good as done. Yes? And what now? Understood. What is it? What is it?
Λοιπόν, πώς θα το κάνουμε τώρα.
Of course. Yes,
Τι άνθρωποι, όχι.
Of course. Yes, yes. Huh? On my way. Yes. Who's next?
Θα χτύψε δικό με επάληθη.
At once. What is it? As good as done. All right. On my way. With pleasure. As good as done. Huh? What is it? Yeah. Huh? Huzzah! Yes. With pleasure. Yes. Yeah. At once. Understood. On my way. Pow! Another dust. Yeah! What is it? Yes, yes. I'm with you. Yes, yes. Come here, you. On my way. Say goodbye forever. Oh, what bad luck for you. Too easy. Fabricus. What is it? Say goodbye forever. Yes? Huh? And what now? They're hitting me pretty hard. Huh? On my way. What is it? Yes? Yes? All right. Huh? Huh? Ha-ha! Huzzah! Of course! I'm with you! Come here, easy! Yes, yes! Huh? At what? What is it? Huh? On my way! And what now?
Και τώρα να την γεμίσουμε λεύκες.
Of course, yes. Huh? I'm with you. All right.
Understood.
Yes?
Huh?
And what now? Of course. I'm with you. Yes, yes. I'm with you. Yes, yes. I'm with you. Yes, yes.
He hardly put up a fight.
I'm with you. Yes, yes. I'm with you.
On my way.
End it.
Understood.
What is it? Huh? Of course.
Yes, for Brachus. Kill.
Ωραία.
As the last of the mercenaries falls to the ground, the villagers stop attacking you and retreat. You and Boandal have to physically restrain Boindil until he comes to his senses. Otherwise, he would have followed them into their houses. You walk up to the body of the mercenaries' leader and search his pockets. You soon find something. A letter.
An anonymous client seeks dwarf skulls cleanly cut, shorn, and put into jars with honey. 1,000 gold coins will be paid for each skull. Khan, Bounty Hunters Guild Master.
That's bounty hunters hunting for dwarves. Despicable.
You hold the letter aloft so that everyone can see it.
Look, citizens of Clintel, proof that these men are the killers. They are bounty hunters hunting for dwarves.
The village elder comes out of one of the houses, flanked by other villagers. You ignore their weapons, as well as their sinister expressions, and hand over the letter.
It would seem you are telling the truth. We have been deceived and raised our weapons against the innocent.
The man's face is full of grief and pain.
And we have been made to pay. You have killed men who were close to us. Go now. We must bury them.
You manage to revenge Mort's death, but it doesn't feel like a victory. Too much blood has been spilt.
Καλά λεφτά. Εδώ δεν μπορούμε να δούμε τις skills.
The hamlet of Sungird certainly lives up to its name. You arrive as the sun sets behind the tower of a Palandial temple, lighting up its stained glass. There's a shop in the village, and through the window, as well as some everyday objects and food, you also spy a shelf full of books. A small bell rings as you enter the shop. The twins look around, but seem rather disinterested, until they discover a couple of gemstones on display. On the wall to your left is the bookshelf you saw through the window. It's quite unusual for a village shop to sell books. You stroll towards the bookshelf and read some of the titles written on the spines of the books. You know many of the works from Lot Yonan's library.
Oh, by Brachus, look, dear brother! The scholar really is looking at books!
It's an interesting selection, Boindil. I could make some recommendations for you.
Boindil throws his arm around your shoulder and pulls you slowly away from the bookshelf.
What if someone sees you? Here, this is more our kind of thing.
You follow him reluctantly and are shown the selection of gemstones. Boindil is walking next to you in silence. Now and then he looks at you from the side.
And you really do like books?
Yeah, I'm curious. And you can find many answers in books.
Won't you have found all the answers at some point?
Quite the contrary. The more books you read, the more questions you ask.
Ah, I knew it. Oh, just a waste of time.
The closer you get to Parista, the livelier the streets become. Many of the large buildings in the city are even taller than the high city wall. But one building towers above them all, the palace. Its dome gleams white in the sun. It is the seat of the Council of Magi, and its central tower, which juts high into the sky, serves as a waypoint for travellers as far as 50 miles away. You reach the Council's palace, but are stopped in front of its gates by a guard.
The Council of Magi is convened to take care of the Perish land. They mustn't be disturbed.
The Perish land? You mean the barrier? Is there something wrong with it?
The guard shrugs his shoulders.
Won't be anything the Council can't sort out.
You
people on the edge of the path.
You don't want to give them a shock, so you address them while you're still a distance away.
Hello, friends. Is there any space by your fire?
The two traders look up and visibly jump when they see you three dwarves.
Ah, hello. Yes, of course.
It doesn't escape your attention that you seem to be causing the traders some uneasiness, but you take up their offer and sit down. The twins follow your example.
We're only travellers. We're looking for someone who's said to live on Blacksaddle. A hermit.
Someone who lives here?
The traders exchange amazed looks.
If they live here, they must be mad.
Normally we wouldn't stop and rest here, but the horses are too exhausted. Our departure from Parista was delayed, and we must have driven them too hard.
Why does Blacksaddle make you feel uneasy? It doesn't look particularly inviting, but it's only a mountain.
Only a mountain? You don't know the legend?
The trader looks at you and the twins for affirmation, but you all shake your heads.
Blacksaddle was once known as Cloudpiercer, and it towered up into the heavens, the upper slopes of pure gold and the summit covered in snow. The humans wanted to attain this wealth, but the smooth slopes and the dazzling summit made the climb impossible. They called on the dwarves to help them. They were able to tunnel up through Cloudpiercer to the top. They hollowed it out and carried away the gold. The humans demanded that the treasure be shared, but the dwarves refused, and as they argued, the mountain began to tremble. There were too many holes inside for it to hold together. It collapsed and buried both greedy parties underneath it. The mountain lost its tremendous size and its beauty, and ever since has haunted both humans and dwarves with its erosive hatred, causing even the rocks to turn black over time.
Never heard of it. Sounds like human tittle-tattle. Dwarves would never hollow out a mountain so much that it collapses.
You come from Parista. How are things there?
No news to speak of, I'd say. Well, except for Nudin the Knowledge Lusty.
You know Nudin the Knowledge Lusty. Lot Yonan introduced him to you many years ago during a visit.
What about him?
Oh, nothing really. Just rumors.
You nod at the trader to continue.
He's behaving strangely and disappears into his tower for days on end.
And he looks ill, apparently. Well, that's what someone I know said. Perhaps he got a spell wrong.
Later in the night, after eating together and some friendly conversation by the campfire, you all decide to sleep. But you take the first watch. It's a night in which nothing happens, and the next morning the traders set off early. After breakfast, you also continue on your journey. After a march through the thick pine forest, Black Saddle, the sinister tabletop mountain, and your journey's destination rises up before you.
Are you sure that the Famulus lives here?
Yes, according to Lot-Yonan.
Although you try to put a lot of assurance into your voice, you too see no signs that anyone lives here.
No castle, no tunnel, no camp. There's nothing here but mountain.
Then we'll have to take a closer look.
You do that, scholar. We'll be waiting for you here.
You think about objecting, but it would just be a waste of breath.
Found anything? A hidden camp?
No. An old tree. Looks like it could fall down at any moment. There we go.
Okay.
I should be able to get up here. Oh. Phew. That was close. I hope this is all worth it. Here's a... No, forget it. Definitely a rock face. There's something engraved on it.
You realize with surprise that they are runes in the Dwarven language.
Built with the blood of our enemies, be unyielding as the rock, and soak the land in their blood. Huh? Hello?
Δεν το θυμάμαι. Παίρνουν κουνούπια. Παλάκια.
Master Garen, Lot Yonan sent me to bring some items back to you. My inquiries are almost at an end. That means I can finally go to be with my sunshine. I have never been to Greenglade, but I think I will like it there. I deposited my most valuable things in the grave of Horengarth before my departure and secured it with magic. The password is...
You recognize the following words as rune names, but they're written in the learned language, so you don't know which they are.
Greenglade. Oh, great.
Useful. An eternal flame. I know who taught him that.
You see sketches and notes on the architectural features, statues and wall reliefs. It seems Garen spent a lot of time studying this place.
Maybe he's kind of a dwarf historian, or maybe he's just a treasure hunter. Hello? Is anyone there?
It looks as though Garen lived in the fortress for a while. It also seems that he left several lunar orbits ago.
He's not stealing. It would just be a shame if the provisions went off.
Αχ, την τύχη μου, sorry.
A series of weapons that are all clearly of dwarven origin. The spider webs and rust suggest they have been here for quite a while, maybe even centuries.
Sorry. Μπορούμε να ανέβουμε πάνω.
Thirdly, the fortress belongs to the dwarf haters. Norimber's dwarves are not only as unyielding as a mountain, they are also as destructive as an avalanche. and would batter into lesser kingdoms just as relentlessly. The Four should find no salvation in Vrachus, only eternal damnation, so that they suffer indescribable torment between the worlds.
You have heard of the dwarf haters, but this is the first time you have read their hateful words. You feel sick and turn away.
Born of stone, forged in battle, arise reborn from the blood of the enemy.
You're not sure if you really want to know what was once in this basin. The whole place gives you the feeling that a decent dwarf shouldn't hang around too long.
A sarcophagus. Perhaps I could open it.
Όχι, δεν μπορείς.
A rune. Clearly magical.
Okay.
Ah! That's it! Goren's most valuable belongings. Letters from his lover, a silk scarf that must have belonged to her, and a medallion. Graves. Could be buried here.
Νομίζω ότι φεύγουμε.
Even the dark, evergreen forest seems to be afraid of the Black Mountain.
So, Scholar, what are the results of your inquiries?
There is an abandoned fortress in the mountain, and I think it belonged to the Thirdlings.
Boindale's eyes narrow.
The blasted dwarf killers!
A Thirdling fortress? Here? In the middle of Girdlegard? We must let High King Gundrabur know about this.
The fortress has been long abandoned by the looks of it. Anyway, I can't go to Ogre's death until I have completed my quest. Goren is in Greenglade.
Huh.
The High King? Why do you want to bring me to him?
All right then. It's about the choice of the new High King. Gandagar, the king of the Fourthlings, is with his entourage in Ogre's death and is supposed to ascend the throne.
But our acting High King Gundrabur wants to prevent that from happening. He fears that Gandagar wishes to instigate a war against the elves.
But what have I got to do with that?
Boindale is about to say something, but is silenced by a nudge in the side from his brother.
High King Gundrabur will explain everything when the time comes.
You look distrustfully from one twin to the other. Boindil has donned an innocent expression, and Boendal doesn't give you the impression that he has anything else to say on the matter.
A Thirdling fortress? Here, in the heart of Girdlegard? That's strange, isn't it?
And worrying. But they've always been wily. They move in the shadows and kill there too if they can. Do you know their story?
I've read about it. Lorenberg, their progenitor, rejected the name that Vrakas gave him, who in turn did not give him any special talent, so his kingdom studied war.
It helps them defending the East, but it also meant they ended up confronting the other kingdoms. No dwarf would ever even think of injuring one of his kind, never mind killing them. But the dwarf killers are proud of it. When they were even more powerful, they wanted to become the rulers of all dwarves. They are envious of our skills. They haven't been heard of for a long time. You can be sure there isn't a single dwarf alive who doesn't hate them.
What does this King Gandagar have against the elves?
Dwarves and elves just don't get along. Vrakas and Satalia made us that way.
I know that, but going to war for just that, after all this time?
Well, there must be more behind it. They say that the King of the Fourthlings is full of hatred, and is a hothead in this matter.
Whatever, your High King must wait. I have a quest to carry out in Greenglade.
But our quest is...
Boindil raises a placatory hand and throws his rucksack onto his back in preparation.
Let it be, dear brother. Look at him. He has made his decision, and you will not be able to change his stubborn dwarven mind.
You can't help but smile.
Τώρα διόλυμα.
There are dead orcs lying in the defensive trenches and strewn over the meadows in front of the city. Some of the locals are busy throwing the bodies on pyres, while others repair the minor damage done to the city wall. You enter the city and the garrison at its centre without being spoken to. It is only when you reach a heavy oak door that leads, you assume, to the commanding officer's headquarters, that you are halted by a guard.
Dwarves, eh? Seems we aren't to be spared anything these days. What do you want?
It looks like you've got an orc problem.
Had. Our scouts detected the army early on, and we were able to repel them without any great losses. A small army of orcs like that couldn't breach our mighty walls.
Your mighty walls look like they're about to collapse under their own weight!
The soldier isn't intimidated by Boindil. He juts his chin out confidently.
At least they stopped the orcs, unlike your dwarven walls in the north. Huh.
I didn't know that Steepleton was so big. Impressive place.
We have fertile meadows. That's what we have to thank for the city's growth in recent years. At the time of my grandparents, Steepleton was nothing more than the tower on a hill with a couple of houses. Now we have a market, a temple, and of course there are royal messengers stationed in the tower, which doesn't do the city's coffers any harm at all.
I must speak with your commander.
Commander Valor doesn't have time. He's still very busy dealing with the aftermath of the orc attack.
Commander Valor is dealing with the orc problem, and I have important information concerning it. I witnessed a meeting of the orc lords.
The guard eyes you with interest and tries to judge whether you can be trusted. Finally, he stands up, opens a door, and enters the room ahead of you. The commander looks up from his work. The guard repeats what you told him.
Your information about the orcs could be useful. We have fought them back, but not yet defeated them. Come in.
The commander listens attentively, and now and then asks questions, as you tell him about the 3 orc armies and the meeting of the chieftains with the Alf Sintharas.
This sounds very grave. I will send out messengers. We must be prepared.
We were unable to stop the horde of orcs. They destroyed the village of Scalebrook and then scattered to the 4 winds.
The commander's serious and weary expression darkens even more.
I see. I thank you for trying.
The orc army that attacked you was able to escape?
What was left of it? They headed south. Unfortunately, I can't send anyone after them until the damage to the wall is repaired.
To the south? Towards Scalebrook, perhaps? We defeated an army of orcs down there. It wasn't an easy fight, but they'd already taken a bit of a beating. By Steepleton's soldiers, I assume.
The commander looks at you and seems torn for a moment. Then he pulls himself together.
Perhaps you didn't know, but the administration had a bounty on the heads of that horde of orcs. Here, this gold is well deserved.
Would it be possible to send a carrier pigeon to Lot Yonan in Yonandar?
Lot Yonan the Magus, certainly. And as you crushed the orcs, I'll waive the fee. Let me send for a scribe.
Thank you, but I can write the message myself. Paper and ink will be sufficient.
The commander nods. You don't blame him for thinking you're illiterate. Very few ordinary folk can read or write. Once the writing materials arrive, you write down a summary of what happened at the meeting of the Alf and the orcs on a tiny piece of paper. A messenger takes the note, nods, and leaves the room.
We must press on. Farewell, Commander Valor.
Kill as many orcs as you can, dwarves. Palandir will be with you.
While taking a rest, you see a cart trundling along the road not far away from you. A young couple are sitting on the box seat, clearly in love and more interested in each other than the rest of the world around them. The sight reminds you of a long, unanswered question.
So, I was wondering, what do female dwarves look like?
Pretty. Very pretty.
Uh-huh.
You were expecting a little more information.
Do they have beards?
No, I would say it's more like fluff. Oh, very attractive.
And what do they do? I mean, are they warriors too?
In our kingdom, most take care of domestic life. They take the animals down to the meadows in the valleys, make sure the larder are full and that there's plenty of good beer, and make our clothes. It only ever causes problems when men and women stand shoulder to shoulder in battle. Some of them are talented stonemasons and smiths, and beware of insulting their skills. They are no less proud than we are.
μπαταρία. Είσαι μας.
The hamlet of Sungird certainly lives up to its name. You arrive as the sun sets behind the tower of a Palandial temple, lighting up its stained glass. There's a shop in the village, and through the window, as well as some everyday objects and food. You also spy a shelf full of books. A small bell rings as you enter the shop. The twins look around, but seem rather disinterested, until they discover a couple of gemstones on display. On the wall to your left is the bookshelf you saw through the window. It's quite unusual for a village shop to sell books. You approach the village and can tell even from far off that something isn't right. The smell of burnt wood and death is in the air.
By Vrachus.
The piggies have really shown those pointy ears. We couldn't have done it any better.
Stay alert. I want to find out what happened to Goren.
You have read about the elves and their buildings. This here had always just been a small example of their architectural skill, which achieved perfection in Alandur. Now burning and ruined, the pavilion makes an even sadder impression.
Ψάχνουμε ένα. Είναι ζόμπι, άρχισε να πολέμο με ζόμπι.
The body of the man is riddled with arrows and is lying in a small patch of undamaged ground, while a sea of flames must have raged in a circle around him. The robes remind you of those of Lot-Yonan's famuli. This, plus the fact that the man used magic, makes you quite sure that this is Goren.
Goren had these books on him when he was attacked. Was he trying to bring them to safety?
Your eyes fall upon a sealed letter next to the books. The circumstances seem grave enough for you to break the seal.
Greetings, Toga. I am glad to hear that you finally wish to confide in Lot-Yonan. I have found out something new about the demon. It's all written in these books. I think they are the key to his destruction, or I hope so, at least. Yours faithfully, Goren. What demon are they talking about?
You instinctively think about how the magical barrier is only a few days' march north of here, and beyond it, Vrachus only knows what kind of creatures live in the Perish land.
Νομίζω ότι χρειαζόταν να το κάνω.
The hand that painted this picture was that of a master. It is composed exclusively in shades of red, but every single little detail is painstakingly and precisely reflected.
This picture portrays the village in its state of ruin.
Examining the canvas more closely, you realize that it is actually made of skin, and the red paint seems more than suspicious now.
This is the most disgusting thing I have ever seen.
The smell of the smoke has accompanied you for a while now, but here, so close to the bodies, it is masked by the sweet smell of death. You have a bitter taste in your mouth and have to pull yourself together to avoid vomiting in disgust.
Άλλο έφευε. Α, δεν μας...
The elf maiden's graceful snow-white face still radiates beauty, in terrible contrast to the rest of her appearance. From the neck down, she is nothing more than a blood-red, damp and glistening skeleton. There are long nails sticking through her thin bones, and where her beautiful eyes once were, are now gaping black holes.
You destroyed my painting. Now I need fresh blood to paint a new one.
Huzzah! This will be fun! We finally get to fight!
I hope your blood doesn't clot too much. It has to be nice and fluid for my fine brushstrokes.
Ha! How do you plan to defeat us, pointy ears? There are 3 of us!
Oh, only 3. That makes it easier.
She looks over the corpses.
Otharin Lueth Buanre!
What's happening? That's the perished land.
Impossible. Greenglade is south of the barrier.
I know of nothing else that can resurrect the dead. Knock their heads off or they'll keep coming back.
Αυτό τι μας δίνει 20% σαλτάκτα. Εσύ θα το εσύ είσαι καλύτερος.
At once. On my way. Understood. End it.
Yes? And what now? I didn't hit you very hard. Too easy. Yeah. What is it, huh?
Πάμε στο άλλο γρήγορα, να σκοτώσουμε το άλλο.
Yes?
Yes. Understood.
Pow! Another one bites the dust.
Huh?
And what now? Yes, yes.
And again. On my way.
Α, με έριξε κάτω λέει.
What is it? On my way.
Yes. Understood. Fabracus.
What is it? All right. As good as done. And what now? What is it? All right.
Πάει το άλλο.
As good as done.
Θα να σκοτώσουμε τον μποσάκι.
Huh? Of course. Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Πάμε στον boss, πάμε στον boss.
What is it? Oh, what battle for you to fight?
Huh?
Yes. What is it?
Huh? Understood.
Turn.
Ρίξε την κάτω.
Another one bites the dust.
Πού πήγε?
End it.
What is it? Huh? Huh? All right. With pleasure.
Yes. Fabracus. End it.
Yeah.
On my way.
What is it? Hardly put up a
As
fight.
good as done. They're hitting me pretty hard.
Yeah!
At once.
And what now? I didn't hit you very hard. Yes, yes. Come here, you. Who's next?
Understood. End it. At once.
Huh?
Yes. On my way. At once.
Yeah! He hardly put up a fight.
And again. End it. I can't do that yet.
What is it?
Huh? Huh?
Attack!
On my way. Fabracus! And again. Uh-huh.
Yes?
Huh? End it. Vile creature.
Huh? Yeah! What is it?
Uh-huh. Understood.
I didn't hit you very hard.
On my way.
Who's next? How many more of them are there?
Yes.
Attack! Who's next? Of course. I'm with you. Yes, yes. Come here, you.
Τελειώσαμε.
Yes, yes. Another one. Who's next? I didn't hit you very hard. Too easy.
Εντάξει, κομπλέ.
Dwarves, you protected the glade.
Α, ζεις εσύ.
The perished land. The barrier has fallen.
You can feel your stomach cramping. Unlike Boindale, you can't say a word.
The damn Magi only had one job.
So this is what it is like to rise from the dead. I feel nothing. I am left with nothing. My love, my beauty, my home, and my forest. Everything has been taken from me. I beg you, have mercy and put an end to my suffering.
Without even being able to look into her eyes, you recognize the sadness in the elf maiden's expression. The dignity that she must once have radiated can only be imagined in her current state.
Garen was here, and I've heard that you elves have special abilities in battle. Did the Alfar take you by surprise in your sleep?
I felt her presence, but when I confronted the elf, she had already killed the first of us and resurrected the perished land. It fills humans and dwarves with a hatred for life. It turns you into beasts. They charge through the village like a fury, and everyone that they killed became one of theirs.
If the perished land spreads further south, then Nod-On won't need any orcs, ogres, or Alfar. One human losing their life in the perished land would be enough for the madness to sweep through the land like the plague.
Your stomach turns, but you know that it's right. You've never seen the twins looking so serious. They would pit themselves against any army of orcs, but this is something beyond their power, and yours.
We need the Magi. They must rebuild the barrier. I can't believe it. The barrier has fallen. How could that happen?
Who could tell? Anything could go wrong with all that hocus-pocus.
It had held back the perished land since the fall of the Fifthlings. Reinforcing the barrier whenever it loses power is the primary duty of the great Magi. I can't imagine how Nod-On or anyone else could have broken through it.
You think of the demons mentioned in Garen's letter. You wonder whether it could be possible that a demon from the outer lands might possess powers so great that even the 6 magi weren't ready for it.
We must go to Lot Yonan before the Perish Land spreads further. He will know what is to be done.
Neither of your companions objects.
Silver. Silver.
Every evening since you left Greenglade, you have looked at Goren's books and tried to prize out the knowledge that they hold. But now, you must admit to yourself that you can't decipher them. They are written in the learned language for High Magi, and Lot Yonan didn't teach you that. However, you're sure that the books are important. Why else would Goren want them sent to Turga the Fair-Faced? You put them away with a sigh, and your eyes remain on the bag that Lot Yonan gave you. Did Goren ask Lot Yonan to return the magical artifacts in the pouch? You pick up the pouch and look at it.
Lot Yonan forbade me from opening the pouch.
What the heck? Goren is dead, and you want to know what you're lugging around with you through the length and breadth of Girdlegard. You grasp at the pouch with an uninvolved expression so that the twins don't think you're acting against Lot Yonan's instructions. You undo the knot with nimble fingers. A piercing, bone-splitting sound rings out, and small spheres of light shoot into the air, ending in colourful explosions.
By Fracas Zammer and all the fires of his forge!
The twins jump up immediately and draw their weapons. You curse and quickly close the pouch again.
By the mountains of Girdlegard! What was that, Scholar?
I just wanted to examine the magical trap. It's for thieves, in case someone tries to steal the pouch.
You try to act normally, so that they don't realize you got just as much a shock as they did. Boindale looks at the pouch with animosity.
Magical frippery.
The twins sit down again, and you slowly recover. Just like previous nights, you are haunted by the image of the elf maiden nailed to the tree in Greenglade. You wake from your sleep and look around you. The night is unusually dark. Despite your good dwarven eyes, you can only make out Boendal's outline, even though he's keeping watch only a few steps away. You're about to lie down again, but suddenly feel something cold against your throat. Next to you, the pale face of an elf slides into view.
Good evening. I'm afraid we missed each other in Greenglade, so my companion had to receive you on her own.
You don't have much experience with Alpha, and only want to act when you're sure that it will achieve something.
Don't worry, I won't kill you. Not yet. Do you know what I am going to do instead?
You feverishly search for an answer, but you can't even imagine how an Alpha thinks.
I will kill everyone who means anything to you. I will destroy your life, and you will sink into hopelessness, groundling. Your downfall is called Synthoras.
You tense your muscles, readying to defend yourself, but suddenly realize that the blade against your throat has disappeared. You look around, astonished. The elf is nowhere to be seen. You look over to Boendal, who is easy to recognize in the bright moonlight. Next to you, Boindil smacks his lips in his sleep. You touch your throat, and when you don't feel anything, you breathe out, relieved.
Just a nightmare.
At least that's what you tell yourself. But you don't close your eyes for the rest of the night. Boindil unwraps his dwarf cheese again and cooks it on the fire. When he offers you a piece, you take it.
I knew we'd make a dwarf of you in the end.
You chew on the cheese so you don't have to answer. It tastes better than you first thought. Once again, you reach the crossroads and the stone. You walk to the nearest empty table with the twins in tow and sit down. The landlord comes out from behind the bar and walks over to your table. He gives a narrow smile.
Good to see you again. What can I get you today?
We're tired and...
Of course.
Several wagons full of building materials pass you by on the way to Goodwater. The village's fortifications still show evidence of the orcs' attack, but they are making good progress with the repair work.
There they are, the dwarves, Goodwater's saviours, come in! I could get used to them.
The farmstead has been plundered, ravaged, and part set on fire. But not all of the buildings are destroyed. You call out for any survivors. You split up and search for signs of life in the... There are no signs of life. With a heavy heart, you decide to turn around and continue on your way.
Why are the Magus' vaults here in the middle of nowhere? And why does the Lord of Yonendar live in a vault and not in a castle?
It's to do with the magical fields that spread out under Girdlegard, so the 5 magical realms are found where the fields are at their strongest.
And that's why he lives in the vaults? To be closer to the underground magic?
No, it's more to do with security. 200 students of magic and a source of almost unlimited magical energy, the Magus thought that an underground vault was a more suitable place to train than Master Nudin's tower in the middle of Parista.
As you near Calmstead, you see that the surrounding fields are in flames. The sound of fighting reaches your ears. You hear the screams of the villagers and the roar of the orcs.
Yes?
Help!
There's still...
Let's get them out of there, and quickly. On my way. Understood. On my way. At what? Please wait a moment. Understood.
Ναι, okay.
What is it?
Πού είναι το ξώτος?
On my way! Alright!
Huh? I'm with you! Yes, yes! Of course! I didn't hit you very hard! I'm with you!
Τώρα σοβαρά.
Of course!
Είδηξε και την έστειλα.
Yes, yes!
At what?
Yeah!
Understood. On my way.
Πού είναι το reveal? Εδώ πάμε.
Understood.
Yeah! What is it? And what now? Of course!
Another one bites the dust!
Yeah!
Kill!
He hardly
On
put
my
up a
way.
fight!
Huh? At once.
I didn't hit you very hard!
End it! Vile creature! Understood.
Ωραία, έχουμε να σώσουμε κι άλλους, Pray the brother before the many burn, 2 κάηκαν. Πάμε εκεί.
Yes? With pleasure. All right. On my way. Oh, what bad luck for you!
Fabracus!
Yeah!
End it!
What is it? Yes, yes! Of course! I'm with you! Of course! Yes, yes! Ha ha! Who's next? What is it?
And again!
With pleasure. Huh? Come here, you! Yes?
Huh? At once. Fabracus! End it!
Huh? Say goodbye forever. Too easy.
Yes?
What is it? Ha ha! Huzzah! Yeah!
Ωραία, σώσαμε κόσμο.
Understood. At once. End it.
Yeah!
On my way.
Φτάνεις.
Yeah! What is it? Creature. He hardly put up a fight. Say goodbye forever. Pow! Another one bites the dust. Huh? Huh? And again. Who's next?
At once.
Yeah! I didn't hit you very hard. Yeah!
Killed. End it.
Too easy. He hardly put up a fight.
On my way.
Ωραία, το σώσαμε όλους.
Yes? And what now? Ha ha!
Huh? Huh?
Of course! And what now? What is it?
Yes? Understood.
Too easy! Yeah!
Understood.
I didn't hit you very hard! Ha ha! Huh?
Huh?
Come here, you! I'm with you!
Huh? Fabracus! Understood.
Yeah! And what now? On my way!
Huh?
All right. Yes! Yeah! He hardly put on my way! All right, yes!
Πάμε σωστά, από εδώ είναι η έξοδος. Όχι, δεν είναι από εδώ η έξοδος. Έλα που χαθήκαμε. Και άλλη πόρτα.
Yes? What is it? What is it? Of course!
Μπορούμε να σώσουμε κι άλλους.
As soon as the last orc is killed, you and the twins free the remaining villagers.
It would seem the stories are true. Dwarves really are the best orc killers. We don't have much that we can offer you. Maybe we can rustle up some food.
Το πείτε αυτό στο Λέγκολος.
I'm sorry, but we can't accept this.
We can't let you leave empty-handed. If you won't accept anything else, then at least allow us to prepare a feast for you this evening.
Your protests fall on deaf ears. The food is simple but hearty farmer's fare. The beer strong by human standards. And there's also dancing. You only really stayed on out of politeness. But you and the twins end up emptying tankard after tankard. The next morning, you set off again in good spirits and with full stomachs.
Τι skill παίρνει τώρα. Αρέσει. Τι βλάκα σου. Εδώ είναι η αρχική μου περιοχή. Λογικά κάπου εδώ θα το σταματήσω.
I don't like it here. All this hocus pocus is bad news. Us dwarves know that and keep well away, just as Vracus commanded. I hope you know that too.
I cannot perform magic, and I've never attempted to. Nevertheless, please show respect. Remember that it was Lot Yonan who took me in and saved me.
Now then, it would seem that the tongue of the learned one becomes somewhat haughtier, and his sentences doth wind most strangely as we verily approach the vaults.
You can't help but grin guiltily. With a beseeching glance at the twins, you step into the area in front of the vaults. Seeing no one there you might greet, you and your companions enter your old home through the open gate.
Who the hell built this tunnel?
Boendal examines the crumbling roof with a mixture of disbelief and indignation.
Be quiet. I want to surprise them.
Is that such a good idea? What if we give your master such a shock that he casts a spell on us? I don't want to be turned into a mouse or a bar of soap.
It is unusually quiet in the vaults, but the smell of dinner is in the air. You imagine Frala looking up at you from her cooking pot in the kitchen and smiling.
Ah, there's boiled and roasted meat for dinner. Come on.
That's no reason to go and get ourselves turned into something weird. We'll stay here until you're finished with your little game.
Lumps of meat rise up and appear on the brown, bubbling surface of the soup before sinking back down out of sight. The hearty smell makes your mouth water.
A human foot?
Your stomach turns, and you have to fight hard against the impulse to run out of the kitchen screaming.
Και τώρα κάτι πάει στραβά.
What happened here? Speak!
Ah, another one.
Don't even think of using magic, or I'll lodge this pretty piece of steel in your brain.
It takes the Famulus a few seconds to comprehend the situation he's suddenly found himself in. He seems to weigh up his options for a moment before he breathes out and the tension leaves his body.
All right, I won't use magic.
What happened here? Where is everyone?
For a while, the Famulus seems to be playing with the idea of being stubborn. Boendal pushes a little harder on the end of the crow's beak, and the tip penetrates the skin. Blood seeps out.
They're gone. Dead.
A school full of magi destroyed without any signs of struggle? Lies.
The facts seem stacked against it, but you cling on to this faint hope.
Lot Yonan's Famuli were already in Parista. There were only novices left. We made easy work of them. The Elfar, Syntharas, he insisted on being part of the raid after he found out that you grew up here. He opened the gates and killed most of those here before they even knew what was happening.
In your mind's eye, you see a pale face appearing from the darkness. You saw what Elfar are capable of in Greenglade. You push the thought to the back of your mind and try to keep a clear head.
Lot Yonan, where is he?
Nodon killed him. He killed all of them in Parista. There's no one left in Girdlegard who can take on the last Magus.
You're saying that someone took on all 6 of the Magi at once and defeated them? Ridiculous.
5 Magi. My master Nudin is Nodon the Doublefold, the Lord of the Perished Land and soon-to-be Lord of Girdlegard. He killed the masters, and the apprentices followed soon after. They're all gone, and he changed the magic field so that only we can use them.
An icy hand grabs your heart. It's impossible that there's only a single Magus left, and he's not fighting against, but for the Perished Land.
Why are you snooping around in Lot Yonan's study? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for artifacts that Lot Yonan, when he was in Parista, claimed he had forgotten and left in a cupboard. And for the books that were stolen from Greenglade. I'm guessing you're the dwarves that stole the books.
What does your master want with the artifacts and the books?
I don't know. He commands, we obey. He's going to be very displeased. I did find a bag in the cupboard, but it didn't contain the right objects.
I've had enough of your lies. They're alive. Lot Yonan escaped and has gathered his apprentices, Frala, and the others around him to fight against Nodon. We just have to find them.
The war was over before you even noticed it had begun. Nodon cannot be stopped. He is on his way here and will just...
Blah, blah. We will leave immediately. This news is of great importance to the Council of Dwarves.
I'm not going anywhere. I have to find my friends, and I...
Orcs! Lots of them!
Faz.
Understood.
Huh? Huh?
Έλα μέσα.
I'm with you. What is it? Say goodbye forever. And what now? Who's next? Yes, yes. Ha ha! Of course. What is it? Huh? What is it? Of course.
On my way.
Yeah! Yeah! The pillars! We could knock some of them down and bury those runts! Huh? Yes? And again, as good as done! I didn't hit you very hard! Alright!
Huh? Huh? At once.
Vile creature!
Understood.
Too easy!
And again! On my way. End it!
He already put up a fight!
On my way.
Yeah! I didn't hit you very hard!
Fabrakas! Kill! On my way.
Attack!
At once. Fabrakas!
Ow! Another one bites the dust!
On my way.
What is it? What is it? Who's next?
Huh? At once.
Vile creature!
Understood.
Yeah!
On my way.
And what now? Yes! As good as done!
Huh?
Sure.
Attack!
Yes?
What is it? Come here, you! Huh? On my way! Too easy!
Over here! Quickly!
He already put up
Side
a
door
fight!
in the workshop. It's our only chance. At once. On my way.
Huh? And what now?
Huh? Understood.
Huh? Huh? Say goodbye forever! As good as done!
On my way. Yes?
Understood. Always go!
Ξέφερα.
As good as done!
Σχετικά. Λοιπόν, guys, θα το αφήσω κάπου εδώ. Μετά από αυτό το story. Δεν ξέρω αν έχει καλή μάχη.
The first 20 are mine! You have come far, but this
is far enough. Give me the artifacts and the books you stole in Greenglade, and I'll set you free.
What's with the artifacts and the books?
They belong to me. Lotionan was supposed to bring them to Porista, but forgot them. So, I came to pick them up. That's all you need to know.
You wanting my rucksack is enough reason for me not to give it to you.
I don't need your consent. Look after the rucksack. If you lose it, you will also lose your life.
What have you done to the other Magi? Your famulus told us some cock and bull story about you forcing them and their famuli to go to Porista and then murdering them.
I did what had to be done to protect Girdlegard. I wish there had been another way. But they would never have understood.
Do your eyes deceive you, or do you really see a brief moment of real regret on the swollen face of the Magus?
Go back to your realm, dwarves, and let your king know that I need his land. Either he hands it over without a drop of blood being spilt, or my troops and allies take it by force. You can take this one with you. I have no use for him.
Invisible wizard, my ass.
Look.
Let me handle her. Kill the dwarves.
Μάλιστα. Τελευταία.
The rucksack! The artifacts! If he wants them so badly, they might be the key to his destruction.
There's the orc with the rucksack. Let's get him! Yes? And what now? Of course!
Έλα εδώ.
Understood.
Έλα εδώ. Έχουμε κυνηγητό τώρα.
Attack!
Yes?
What is it? What is it?
Too easy!
I've got the rucksack.
Let's get out of here. Oh, at once.
Yeah! Oh, you didn't hit me pretty hard!
Understood.
Κυνηγήθηρα.
At once.
Κυνηγήθηρα. Έλα.
Another one bites the dust.
Λοιπόν. Θα σκάψω την άκρη για να φύγω. Εσύ θα φύγεις κατά εκεί.
Yes?
Εσύ θα φύγεις.
What is it?
Yes?
All right. Oh, what bad luck for you! On my way! All right. Don't rush me! As good as done!
I am Boenda! Give me a hand!
What is it? What now?
Huzzah!
Too easy!
Huh?
All right. As good as done!
Let's get out of here.
Retreat? We should fight on!
We would die. Perhaps you've noticed that Nodon has risen again, headless. He is more powerful than the Perish Land itself, but the key to his destruction is in here.
We will return to the Secondlings and tell them what the Magus is up to. We'll be safe at Ogre's Death, and there we can hatch a plan.
If we manage to get there. Nodon will do anything to stop us.
Then let him try!
Τέλεια. Οκ, λοιπόν, τα αφήνω εδώ. Υπάρχει μια πιθανότητα πίσω αύριο μάλλον. Έχει και άλλες περιοχές, εδώ τώρα είναι. Νομίζω ότι έχει και μια περιοχή με χιόνια. Με λάβα. Α, έχει. Γενικά το παιχνίδι είναι άλλες 10 ωρίτσες περίπου. Κάτσε ρε. Πάλι follow για ποιο λόγο δεν κάνει τέτοιο. Δεν έβγαλε το widget. Έχω βάλει και τέτοιο, το έχω φτιάξει και αυτό. Δεν ξέρω. Λοιπόν, αυτό θα τα ανεβάσω και στο YouTube. Λοιπόν. Ίσως. Λοιπόν, οπότε τα αφήνω κάπου εδώ. Για 3 λόγους. Πρώτον, γιατί δουλεύω 5 το πρωί. Δεύτερον, γιατί έτσι χελώς ήταν 9 με 12. Και τρίτον, γιατί έχω 7% μπαταρία στο κινητό και θα μπορέσω να βλέπω τα chat. Πιθανώς θα το συνεχίσω αύριο. Είναι ένα παιχνίδι το οποίο, όπως είπα, γενικά τα παιχνίδια που παίζω το τελευταίο διάστημα μόνος μου και λοιπά δεν είναι παιχνίδια για όλους. Είναι λίγο πιο ψαγμένα, να το πω, λίγο πιο χαλαρά. Anyway. Αυτά. Οπότε πιθανόλογο ότι θα στριμάρω μάλλον και αύριο στη συνέχεια από αυτό. Ίσως δηλαδή αυτό θα το στριμάρω καθημερινές ώσπου να το τερματίσω. Και για το Σάββατο βλέπουμε. Λοιπόν guys, thanks for watching. See you in a next live stream. GN.